Welcome back to my read-through of Torn Between Alphas, blah blah blah. If you actually feel lost, and I'm not saying that I'm lost as well, you should probably go check out the other videos before watching this. Chapter 24. Xavier complains about Callie's poor bedside manner, which she quickly cuts off by stating that she isn't a nurse and he should probably be grateful that she's doing this at all. However, Callie works herself up into a frenzy when, the second she's finished patching him up, Xavier tries to leave. She calls for Colton, demanding that he stop his brother. Colton is kind of like, I don't care, and goes on to say that if Callie cares so much, then she should babysit Xavier. Lola randomly talks about the imprinting from Twilight. She's randomly under the impression that Xavier did something to make Callie act all crazy and lovesick, which, considering her inconsistent behavior, I wouldn't exactly roll it out. But Callie's behavior was also weird before they had even met either Colton or Xavier, so I'm gonna go ahead and say it. Callie is just stupid. Earlier, you were complaining about Xavier saying how you hated him. You jumped out a window in an attempt to escape, remember? So? Now you run all the way back here where a wolf wanted to kill you, all to see if Xavier was okay. You normally faint at the sight of blood, yet you could deal with his bleeding and patching him up. Not to mention you suddenly seemed in control. You ordered Colton around and you're usually scared of him. When the story comes so close to being self-aware and somehow continues to still miss the point. Maybe it's love. Maybe it's just inconsistent yet terrible character writing to the point where even the fans of the story are constantly calling the author out on it. Who knows? Like everything else in this stupid story, this leads to a really dumb and endlessly long argument about the issue. I don't really care, but here we are. Lola then turns on a dime and randomly starts talking about how happy she is that Callie and Xavier had been sucking face earlier. Lola then tries to ask Colton about it. I'm not even going to question when he showed up again or why. But Colton is of the opinion that mates are kind of a dumb thing made up by lonely single people to make themselves feel better. He also collectively calls all women the B word. I miss when men went off to war and didn't come back. Colton asks why she's asking about that and scoffs over the idea of Callie being his mate, which is just such a weird conclusion to jump to, mainly because it's been pretty obvious that this story is going in the way of Xavier Callie, but sure, whatever, just add it to the wall of dumb things characters have said this chapter alone. Colton tells Callie to go play nursemaid to Xavier, but she chews him out over it, says that she just wanted for Xavier not to move around it and injure himself further or pull his stitches. Callie takes it a step further and calls Colton out, stating that he doesn't give a hoot about anything other than Colton. Colton says that the two of them are toys, that he literally bought them. Lola says that Colton only bought Callie's black cave, and only for Xavier, which I would like to remind everybody that nobody has really tried to get into Callie's pants. This entire thing is just so laughably bad. They continue to argue over this for a bit before Callie gets angry and threatens to bite off certain dangly bits of Colton's. He agrees to go look after Xavier, but says that Xavier would like it better if it was Callie. Chapter 25. Like everything else in this dumb story, the idea of Callie going to take care of Xavier causes an argument between her and Lola. She chuckled, finding humor in my pain. Ultimate summary of their relationship, to be honest. Finally, Callie puts her foot down and goes to Xavier. He tells her that werewolves heal a lot faster than humans do, but Callie asks, "Oh, are you fully healed then?" "No," and then sit back down again. She asks why it was that Xavier received more damage than Xavier or the other wolf, said that she saw all of the fur downstairs, and then ponders over how it is that she was able to tell the difference between the three different furs. But she presses the issue and asks why it is that Xavier can't shapeshift into a wolf. However, he's reluctant to talk about it, despite him insisting that she drop the subject. Yeah, it's not fun being hounded about info that you don't want to talk about, is it? I told you to stop asking. Don't try to act braver than me. Like you said, no one knows you're here. If you disappeared, no one would chase us. So romantic. All the sarcasm. Callie asks if the other wolves are dead and then asks if the pack would be angry when they find out about the deaths. However, Xavier says pointedly that he plans on giving Callie over to the other pack if it comes down to that. Ah yes, bargaining with a young maiden. How 12th century. At least 12th century men had the decency to leave for war and not come back. Callie calls him out on his bluff and says that she'll go to the other pack, but if Xavier calls her out on that and says that they will kill her. Except that his words about killing all humans sound way too hollow and phony even to Callie. and as usual, he makes a joke about killing Kelly. She gets upset over it, but at this point, I legit just don't care. He drops a tasteless non-joke practically every 5 minutes. He also says that Kelly's life isn't worthless. According to Colton, it's worth about $400,000. Kelly tries to get him to tell her about himself since she's going to die and all, but he refuses. And then the conversation spins back around to Xavier's inability to shift. But this time he seems less angry over the entire thing. Kelly then jokes that Xavier can't kill her if she kills him first, which, fine, murder, fun times. Either way, at least something will be happening here. Chapter 26. And apparently the author seems to be of the opinion that literally every single chapter has to end in the middle of an argument because this chapter opens on yet another argument, this time over if Kelly could actually murder Xavier or not. And as usual, the idea of Xavier owning Kelly's blocked cave comes up, and friendly reminder that he was supposed to have taken it, but he has not, and is literally holding Kelly and Lola hostage. Lola, who is just randomly tagging along for the hell of it. However, the author attempts to interject some sexual tension between them, but with the stilted, awkward dialogue, it just kind of comes off like two computerized voices trying to flirt with one another. Colton comes in and tells Xavier that Lola and Kelly think that Kelly is Xavier's mate, which, okay, I mean, at least get something rolling here. I'm not sure where any of this is going, but at least something is happening other than the endless bickering, flirting in a monotone. Also, Colton thinks that Lola must be gay simply because she isn't interested in him. I mean, can't possibly have anything to do with his winning personality. Nope. People not romantically interested in me are clearly batting for the other team. Colton finally asks the question on every single reader's mind, when are Xavier and Kelly going to do the horizontal tango? And then he gets upset when Kelly says that they're not and reminds Kelly of how much money that he paid to give Xavier the pleasure of this. But as you can imagine, the only thing she has to say is to ask Xavier why it is that he's dragging his feet about removing Kelly's blocked cave. Kelly leaves the room and tells Lola about what happened in the literal 5 minutes since she last saw her friend. Once Kelly is finished, Lola restates that she'll protect the two of them, despite the fact that they're only in this mess because of Lola's inability to understand the meaning of the word no. Kelly then randomly starts crying and both boys show up just in time to make yet another tasteless joke, this time about periods. The bar is already below ground and they're still digging. And then Kelly randomly bites Xavier, which, okay, sure, this might as well happen. Xavier, if you would believe it or not, is kind of into it, but Colton forcefully removes Kelly from Xavier. And out come the comments about literally killing Kelly if she does that again, because it's been, 2 whole paragraphs since somebody last threatened to kill her. She might forget about the death threats since the author thinks that Kelly is that stupid. You're disgusting, I snarled, keeping 2 girls captive. How many people do you kidnap a year? How many innocent people have you killed? Go to hell. The worst thing about this story is that the author could have literally written anything. And yet she picked girl decides to sell her blocked cave and ends up being held hostage at a secondary location while 2 men threaten to murder her every couple of minutes, and her friend constantly gaslights and emotionally abuses her. Chapter 27. Kelly is convinced that Xavier and Colton are heading in some sort of dark backstory, like Batman, that somehow excuses all of their behavior, but even if every single person in their family was brutally murdered before them, that wouldn't excuse this level of behavior. However, Lola is now back on team. We are 100% going to die, so shut up about how hot that they are, would you? This girl does more flip-flopping about this than any politician, and she's not wrong that Colton was close to hurting Kelly at the end of the previous chapter when Xavier stopped him. But again, it's hard to trust Lola's judgment because it's going to change in 5 sentences anyway. Lola wants to leave and decides that the middle of the night when the boys are both asleep is obviously the best time to escape. She's also really banking that following the earlier fight, the other werewolves would be too busy licking their wounds to go after them. Kelly is upset about the thought of not being able to bring food or her phone charger. However, it's now Lola's job to be the sensible one, and she reminds her that with Kelly's money, they can get whatever they need later. And I would say something about Kelly getting some priorities, but honestly, if she had any ounce of common sense, just one single brain cell bouncing around in the empty cavern she calls a head, she would have never come out to Oregon in the first place. Xavier tries to come into the room, but Kelly tries to keep him out. They get into a fight because Colton almost killed her, but Xavier stopped him simply to have the pleasure himself. Wow, what an amazing couple we have here. There is more pointless argument before Xavier grabs Callie physically and carries her from the room, stating that this was what he came in for. I can't avoid a remark about the comments because even they are starting to get repetitive. Too much padding, the wait times are dumb, the story is terrible, blah blah blah. And then that's it. I finished this video. Bye.